Welcome to Celestial Insights, a weekly podcast that brings the stars down to earth. I'm your host, astrologer, coach, and intuitive Celeste Brooks. My purpose is to provide practical, unique, and insightful guidance to help you navigate the energies of the week like a boss. Hello, this is Celeste of Astrology by Celeste, and on this episode, I will discuss the astrology for the week of May 19th, 2024. If you are attending the NORWAC Astrology Conference in Seattle, Washington, this weekend, I will be there, and I will give a talk on eclipses on Saturday at 2 p.m. So I would love to see you at my talk, or if you're there, just stop by and if you see me, say hi. I'd love to meet you. I'm always so interested to see how things will play out when we have multiple aspects on the same day. And last week on the 13th, the Sun and Uranus were conjunct at 23 degrees of Taurus, and Venus in Taurus was sextile Saturn in Pisces, and they were both at 17 degrees. Leading up to this, over the weekend before, the world was treated to this beautiful solar storm that gave these amazing visual displays across the world. And the sun is the sun, and Uranus is surprising things, exciting things, and Taurus rules the earth, and we could see it all over the earth. And Venus, it was like this beautiful, artistic, the skies were lit up with all these different colors and patterns. And the sextile Saturn and Pisces, Saturn delays, and Pisces is associated with sleep. So people were delaying their sleep and staying up late in order to see this beautiful treat. So I feel like that was something like the cosmos were giving us a present. Venus rules presents because the world has been through so much. So it was just really delightful. There was also a story about Miss USA and Miss Teen USA both quit their roles due to the stress and pressure. Venus in Taurus is a beauty queen. Like the sudden quitting, it was a bit shocking, and that's the Sun Uranus. Hey, let's look at this. Why are they under so much stress? Uranus is associated with stress, and Saturn is associated with pressure. And then one of the runners-up decided not to take the job. And this story has been unfolding as the two aspects were moving to perfect, and it's still going on. And it's like a crown in chaos. So I think it's part of the Jupiter-Uranus conjunction in Taurus. Jupiter rules royalty and, with crowns. And the winner, the person who has success in these beauty pageant contests, and Uranus, there's all this stress and chaos about how they are treated that has come to the conscious attention of the collective. Now, there was all this stuff on college campuses, which we knew would continue with the Jupiter-Uranus conjunction. Jupiter rules education, and Uranus revolts around the war in Israel. And so there was a bunch of stuff that happened about that. But at Howard University, for some reason, there was a graduation ceremony, a nursing ceremony of graduates. And for some reason, they were in a space that was too small for the number of people who wanted to come or were invited. I'm not sure exactly what went on, but because some people couldn't get in, they started banging on the glass. This is at a college graduation, and the glass broke and someone was hurt, and then the graduation ceremony was stopped and canceled. So Sun Uranus, people acting, really outrageously, and boom, the glass breaks. That's a Uranian thing, a sudden break. And then the graduation stops. And I was reading something where someone was like, I graduated high school in 2020, so I didn't get to walk either my high school graduation and now I can't walk my college graduation. So it's just a sad thing, like that Venus sextile Saturn. The party is canceled. It was just a really sad situation with that. One of the biggest stories that we've seen happening is around the United States and Israel relations. The diplomatic relations continue to be under stress and strain and are breaking down. So it made news during the week of May 6th when the sun in Taurus was sextile Saturn and Pisces. Now the sun rules leaders, Taurus rules resources, and Saturn delays, puts limits, controls things. And Joe Biden, President of the United States, put limits on the weaponry, the bombs that were being sent to Israel. So the sun, the president, put limits, Saturn, on these resources because the United States has been telling Israel again and again not to go into Rafah because of the people who were told to go there and are now stuck there with nowhere to go. But Israel has been determined to do this ground offensive. And so we are limiting what we are sending to Israel. And this is getting more and more attention on the world stage rather than being done behind closed doors to put some public pressure. But Israel has said that they're going to go it alone. So on the day, and there was really stark images that I was seeing of Biden and Netanyahu, the leader of Israel. And on May 11th, 2 days before the sun Uranus and Venus sextile Saturn, Venus rules allies, and Israel is a Libra rising. So Venus rules their whole chart, and that often there's news around Israel with Venus transits. Anyway, the article was isolated and defiant. Israel vows to stand alone in war on Hamas. And Damien Cave is the reporter who wrote this article. Isolated. Saturn isolates. Saturn separates. When people are having Saturn transits, sometimes they can feel alone. Defiant. Uranus rules defiance and not following what is being recommended to you. And the Sun-Uranus conjunction at 23 Taurus was a direct hit to Israel's sun. So this is kind of an example about what it can be like when this transit, if someone knows people who this transit is happening directly to the person, it can come to your conscious attention that they are just going their own way, not following rules, being a revolutionary, revolting, that sort of thing. And yes, standing alone, Venus sextile Saturn, they're separated from their allies. Yeah, and it goes on to say, countries have turned their backs on Israel. The consequences, Saturn rules consequences, of these desertions from security to economics, both Taurus themes, risk Israel turning into a pariah, Uranus. Other countries are wanting nothing to do with Israel because of the way the civilians are being treated, being denied aid. On the exact day of the Sun-Uranus conjunction, there were right-wingers in Israel who attacked aid trucks that were intended for aid for civilians in Gaza and were destroying the food and the supplies. So it's just horrific. From the October 7th attack till now, we've seen just such violence and hate. And some of the citizens of Israel whose family members are still being held hostage in Gaza are absolutely furious about how the government is not working harder to make peace, to bring their relatives home. So unfortunately, Mars in Aries has won out over Venus and Taurus, and we are just seeing the amplification of violence. The Birthdate Company makes amazing products, and I am a proud affiliate. I especially love the Birth Date book, It's a fully personalized, beautiful, and unique reading of your birth chart with over 70 pages of detailed horoscope analysis. It is such high quality. I absolutely love it. They also make amazing birth date candles. You can get it for yourself or as a gift for someone else. So check out the store and use my coupon code Celeste10 for a 10% discount. Go to bit.ly/3PW3NFM. You can find that in the link in the show notes. Enjoy. The theme of this week is bridging the gap, and there are three big things I want you to think about as you navigate this week. The first is that Gemini season begins on Monday, May 20th through June 20th. So the sun will spotlight Gemini topics. Gemini is a mutable air sign. Air communicates, air connects. It's yang energy that pushes the energy out. This mutable sign is flexible and adaptable. There's a nature of duality. This and that can both be true. People with strong Gemini energy can be excellent communicators. The sign rules communication and mental processes. They can be social butterflies, someone who's just like flitting from person to person, who could start a conversation with a wall about whatever. They just have this ability to connect with others. They can be witty. Witty repartee is something people with this energy are really good at. They're clever. They're good conversationalists. They can be very curious and inquisitive. Babies come out saying, why? Now, not so great traits are being scattered or too restless, getting easily bored, fudging the facts, or saying they're going to do something and then never doing it, or being superficial. But in general, I mean, it's delightful to invite a Gemini to your party because they are wonderful conversation starters who are friendly and adaptable on the high road. This sign rules transportation of all kind, like roads and bridges and highways. So you may see some news around these topics right away. Traffic is another topic. Reporters and teachers are some Gemini archetypes. The twins is the constellation of Gemini, looks like twins. So notice when the sun moves in, what captures your eye on Monday? Are you seeing twins, or it's double mint gum? Or if you watch the news, you're going to see reporters. But is there a story that captures your attention that is like, wow, I can't believe I just saw this and the sun just went into Gemini? Maybe something about school buses, subways, transportation. And when the sun goes into Gemini, it immediately starts to make a trine with Pluto. Pluto rules volcanoes. Maybe you see a school bus or a sports team for a school called the Volcanoes or something like that. So just notice where your eye turns, because sometimes when something catches your eye and you think about what's going on astrologically and try to figure it out, how does this meet with the astrology? It's called a force connection, and that can help expand your astrological nature. Yeah. Gemini also rules schools and children or topics as well. The next thing I want to make you aware of is that there's going to be a full moon at 2 Sagittarius on Thursday. It's the culmination of the moon cycle. Sagittarius is a fire sign. I love Sagittarius energy. This sign is ruled by Jupiter, the greater benefic. The energy wants to explore and expand. It's philosophical. It likes to travel long distances, to learn things that are different from one's own place. Like you can think about Gemini, where the sun is like your local environment, your local neighborhood. Sagittarius is energy like cultures or places that you've never been or aren't very familiar with. But I love with the two of them together, you can take a short distance trip to somewhere you've never been and act like a tourist, 30 miles from where you live or something like that. Now, negative Sagittarius energy is bloviating, overly self-indulgent, like fiery, hot-headed in not a good way, impatient, or it just exaggerates, tells a big fish story. The full moon is a time of culmination. Really notice what comes to your attention about Sagittarius themes. Sagittarius also rules higher education, religion, judicial things. The sun is at True Gemini, and the corresponding tarot card is the Two of Swords, which has traditionally someone holding two swords and they're blindfolded. It's like you don't have all the information, or it can be a card about indecision or being at a stalemate. Jupiter in Gemini is the astrology correspondence, and the Sabian symbol is the charming court life at the Garden of the Tuileries in Paris. And this brings themes to the good life, in Paris, in the garden, and one of the most amazing gardens. Also can be about people coming together to talk about political things. The charitable symbol is a troubadour stands with one foot upon the ledge of a rock, his instrument slung at his side. He is listening to the music of a cascade which falls at his feet. It's a degree of harmony. So, how can you move through disagreements or political discussions or whatever comes up with some grace, charm, and harmony? The moon at 2 Sagittarius, the tarot card, is the Two of Wands. And this is a card of planning and progress and making decisions. So they're kind of at odds. One is about indecisiveness, the other is about decisiveness. So how can you balance these two energies? Mercury in Sagittarius is the astrology correspondence to the card. The Sabian symbol is two men playing chess. So this brings themes of mental games. It brings to mind Biden, who's a Sagittarius rising, and him dealing with Netanyahu and Putin and Xi and all of these other world leaders. You can think about two men playing chess, like you're thinking about mental games or games of strategy and thinking about how can you have a strategy to defeat your opponent. Also can bring to mind reversals. The charitable symbol is the goddess of mercy enthroned, a degree of sympathy. It's really interesting because the moon is trine Pluto, so this brings themes of power dynamics, as well as could be power struggles, domination, or powerful people. Also, I can't wait to see how this shows up. Venus will conjunct Jupiter at 29 degrees of Taurus. The last 29 is the last anaretic degree of the sign. Venus and Jupiter are the benefics, so them coming together can bring a lot of sweetness. And there's sextile Neptune in Pisces, also at the 29th degree. So this is like a symphony of amazing music. I can see someone putting on the biggest display to propose to someone with this full moon energy. I was kind of wondering if, because yesterday was Venus conjunct Uranus in Taurus, and that could be a surprise proposal. It could be breakups, but it could also be a surprise proposal. And then today, Mars is going to conjunct the North Node, which could be an amplification of excitement. And Mars is in Aries, a sign of athletes. So I was wondering if Travis Kelce maybe proposed to Taylor Swift, and they are going to announce their engagement at the full moon. We'll see what happens. Or someone famous may announce their engagement around the full moon. So we'll see. But I feel like this could be very, very interesting. And there could also be some transportation thing. It's called bridging the gap because there could be news about bridges this week. And maybe the infrastructure project that is going on in the US with Gemini season and with Saturn and Pisces, our attention may be drawn to things about bridges over water or something like that. The moon phase family of this cycle began at a new moon where the sun and the moon were both at 1 degree of Sagittarius on November 23rd, 2022. 9 months later, there was a first quarter moon with the sun in Virgo and the moon in Sagittarius, both at 1 degrees. That was August 24th, 2023. Now we're at the full moon where the sun and moon are both at 2 degrees, sun in Gemini, moon in Sagittarius on May 23rd. 9 months from now, there'll be a last quarter moon where the sun is in Pisces and the moon is in Sagittarius, both at 2 degrees on February 20th, 2025. These are called lunar gestational cycles, these 9-month periods where your chart is activated in the same place. And there is often, if you have like a planet or point right around 2 degrees, 2 degrees, there may be a story that's ongoing that has pivot points in your life. You can also use these cycles to set goals, but go back and look, or if you can think if anything happened around 2022, Thanksgiving, and think if there's a story that's had pivot points. The last thing I want to make you aware of is that Jupiter, the planet of expansion and abundance, is now leaving Taurus and entering the sign of Gemini on Saturday, May 25th for a year until next June 9th of 2025. Jupiter has brought so much to us Tauruses, but now it's time to shed some abundance and blessings and good things on Geminis. So, Geminis, you are up now. Jupiter comes through your sign every 12 years. It takes 12 years for it to go around the chart, and it stays in the same sign for 1 year. And in general, now it depends on your chart, Jupiter brings nice things to us. Jupiter rules benefactors, where blessings just flow. Jupiter invests in. It could be people behind the scenes or hidden angels helping you in ways you don't even know, as well as helping you in ways that you see. Now, Jupiter can also be too much of a good thing. So keep in mind, it scatters an air sign. Air moves really fast, and Gemini is a fast-moving sign. So energy can just be scattered. So I want you to think about being discerning on how you're going to use this energy. And all of us, somewhere in our chart, we have Gemini, and this is the area where we may have some more ease and flow. Saturn's where we have more work and tests. Saturn and Jupiter are opposite principles. Now, Jupiter rules law, morality, ethics, systems of beliefs. Shadow energies are reckless behavior and overindulgence. We can think about Gemini rules communication of all kinds, computers, cell phones, primary schooling. So there will be stories. We will see what the story is on Saturday as Jupiter rules, it moves into this sign. Now, this is a sign of its detriment. It does not like to be in this sign. Jupiter likes to keep the big picture in mind, and Gemini wants the facts. So there's somewhat of opposite principles. Yeah, Mercury rules Gemini. So Jupiter will be reporting into Mercury as it moves through this sign. Now, some other Gemini topics are about breathing, the male. Gemini rules the lungs, and Jupiter adds to life, being a benefic. I wonder if we'll see asthma therapies or some therapies for long COVID, hopefully some kind of cure. And while in Gemini, Jupiter is going to square Saturn in Pisces 3 times. And Pisces also has to do with medication. Saturn puts limits on things. Gemini is the male. I wonder, the first square is August 19th, but I'm wondering if leading up to that, the Supreme Court will take away abortion medications from allowing them to be mailed. That is something that the court is debating. They're really trying to take us into The Handmaid's Tale. One thing to think about doing with this, if you have any writing projects you want to do, it's a great time to do so because Jupiter expands, expanding communication. If you are embarking on a new journey, experiencing a major life event, feeling stuck, trying to make a difficult decision, or just looking to make positive changes, astrology can provide life-changing insights. There are several ways to work with me. You can come for a 30, 60, or 90-minute astrology consultation depending on your needs. Ask me a burning question and I'll record a video for you. Engage in longer-term cosmic success coaching where we work together on a 3-month basis to help you overcome blocks, improve your life satisfaction, build better relationships, accomplish your career goals, and understand yourself better using the tool of astrology. Or mystic mentoring if you're an aspiring astrologer and want help with chart analysis techniques. Go to astrologybyceleste.com to check out my offerings. If you have any questions, you can email me at celeste@astrologybyceleste.com. On Sunday, the word of the day is imaginative. We have a gibbous moon at 14 Libra at 7:54 a.m. Pacific time. Libra is an air sign. It rules diplomacy as well as relationships of all kinds. A gibbous moon is pregnant with possibilities. It's a bright phase of the moon where people are connecting. And there definitely would be some, notice if you see a bunch of proposals online and they're kind of dramatic. Yes. And on this day, the sun is in Taurus, is sextile Neptune and Pisces. They're both at the 29th degree. And this, you can see, notice you see very arty, imaginative images with this energy. Neptune is the planet of illusions and delusions. The sun spotlights it. Beautiful music. Like when the first time I went to Paris, I remember we were walking, we came into the subway station and there was people playing Fleur de Lis, like a symphony in the metro, I think it's called, whatever. It was just like, it was walking into a fairy tale. It was so incredible. And it was like, I'm here in the city of love. It was so wonderful. Anyway, I'm wondering now, Neptune and Pisces are both associated with oil and that 29th degree of decay and crisis. Something I think may be coming will be limitations on oil because of what's going on in Israel that will affect, who knows how many people it'll affect, but that could be something that's coming. Or with Neptune and Pisces, and it could be big storms. There could be, and this is also where I'm getting the bridge imagery, because on this day, Mars is conjunct the North Node at 14 Aries. So when that moon, gibbous moon at 14 Libra is opposite Mars, conjunct the North Node at 14 Aries, this to me can be like a big blow up. I know the Ukrainians have been targeting the Russian bridge to Crimea. So there may be problems on bridges or even some kind of thing, explosive energy. Notice if what comes to your conscious attention about athletes, soldiers. The North Node is an amplifier. So there's probably going to be something. I mean, maybe it's just like a big reveal for people are engaged and, screaming and shouting and carrying on. Now, there are also fires raging in Canada. So that's a bit concerning with Mars in areas where it's really strong being amplified. So hopefully, there's big concerns about fires raging in the west coast of Canada. On Monday, the word of the day is headlines. This is a day the sun enters Gemini at 9:59 a.m. Pacific time. Notice what you see around Gemini topics, transportation, kids, schools, that sort of thing. the moon will enter the sign of Scorpio deep waters at 3:33 p.m. Pacific time and immediately move to square Pluto. Pluto's intense. This is a time to get strategic, get focused. Pluto can be like amplification of the Marshall Principle and the ego. This is a great way to start the week if you want to get stuff done. Like you put on your thinking cap with that Gemini energy. Gemini rules mental processes. And then you've got that fixed water of Scorpio to really get strategic and focused. On Tuesday, the word of the day is argumentative. The sun will semi-square Mars. So as we're adjusting to this new energy, just notice you may see a little amplification of hostilities or easy access to getting in a fight because on this day, the moon will oppose Mercury and Taurus, and Scorpio and Taurus are both fixed signs. People can be stubborn. Mercury communicates. Yeah. On Wednesday, the word of the day is conquest. The sun in Gemini is trine Pluto in Aquarius, both at 2 degrees. So we may be the mind and our focus could be going to like an intensification of the ego principles with Pluto. Now, shadows can also be exposed about how you think and communicate, or some big story could hit the newspapers about Pluto conspiracy that affects a lot of people, Aquarius. So pay attention what you see. I wrote down Jerry Maguire, show me the money. There's this ego amplification that I feel like this is going to bring to our attention. Yeah, maybe there'll be a big new project announced with the infrastructure bill that the Biden administration signed. On Thursday, the word of the day is announcement. This is going to be a big day, or the day or so leading up to it. The moon will enter the sign of Sagittarius, a fiery mutable sign, at 1:23 a.m. Pacific time. Now, Sagittarius can be lawless, but I'm hoping we just see a lot of the fun side of it. You may see horses. Sagittarius, this associated with the horse. You may see horses in the collective. Venus is going to meet Jupiter at 29 degrees of Taurus. So Taurus rules resources and land, and Jupiter makes everything bigger. And then Venus will sextile Neptune at 29 degrees. To me, I'm seeing like someone showing off a huge engagement ring. Taylor Swift came to mind because her chart is very activated by this transit. Jupiter is on her descendant from her rectified chart. Anyway, we'll see who it is. But I think we're going to see something like a Hope Diamond in the collective, or something that really captures our attention, or an amazing art piece. Yeah. There's going to be a full moon at 2 Sagittarius at 6:52 a.m. Pacific time. Now, this full moon is across Joe Biden's ascendant descendant. The ascendant is the self. The descendant is the other. Now, it also allies. And since he's, the president, I'm wondering if there'll be some news. He'll make an announcement, or there'll be some news about relationships with allies. And the sun is shining on his Uranus. So that brings to mind themes around aviation. Maybe we're going to, I don't know, Mars or Jupiter or something like that. NASA could. Uranus rules aviation, outer space. Maybe there's going to be some kind of announcement. And then Venus enters Gemini. So I was thinking Venus entering Gemini, and it goes in that sign. Venus rules relationships. From May 23rd to June 15th, Gemini communicates. It's a great time to get social and flirty. It's great for parties, witty repartee. I was thinking, Venus goes into Gemini and we find out Taylor Swift is engaged. But we'll see. It might not be her. It might not be anyone engaged. But if it is, the news is going to go crazy. And Jupiter is at the 29th degree of Taurus, is sextile Neptune in Pisces. Now, this could be news about inflation. Both of these planets make things bigger, but yeah, it'll be really interesting to see what happens. I hope it's not just horrific storms. That there could be some big storm energy. I mean, Brazil it's just horrific what they're experiencing, and there are places all over the globe that are experiencing like tremendous amounts of rainfall that are causing crises. On Friday, the word of the day is celebrate. This party energy is amazing. Now, with the Venus, Jupiter, and Neptune, there's a lot of energy for overindulgence. So if you or you know someone who has difficulty with alcohol or drugs or spending or whatever, this is a time where people can be really triggered to get into escapism with that Neptune energy. So especially if yourself, just be aware that you might want to really monitor yourself and maybe give a nudge or check on someone who may have some issues around those topics. On Saturday, the word of the day is oath. Venus in Gemini is sextile Pluto in Aquarius, both at 1 degree. This could be like we're making an oath to each other, a couple declaring unending devotion. I got vibes of Angelina Jolie and Billy Bob Thornton with their necklace filled with blood. This was back at an Oscars a decade ago or more. Yeah, it just can be really intense, really passionate. You can leave your hat on, 9.5 weeks energy, fun, flirty. I love it. Yeah. Also getting the Persephone myth with this. But anyway, this is the day Jupiter enters Gemini at 4:14 p.m. Pacific time. So we're going to be getting news, and Jupiter is going to be in this trine with Pluto. There could be stuff coming about judges. Jupiter rules judges. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see what comes up with that. Sorry, this is a little long. That's it for this week's episode. Feel free to email me at celeste@astrologybyceleste.com with any astrology and action stories, or let me know how the daily themes are playing out for you. Take care, and I'll catch you next week. Thank you for listening to Celestial Insights. To learn more about my work, please visit my website, astrologybyceleste.com, where I offer personal readings, horary consultations, cosmic coaching, group events, and classes to help guide people to higher levels of fulfillment. You can also find me on Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, and Facebook at Astrology by Celeste. If you enjoyed Celestial Insights, please help others find the show. Follow, rate it 5 stars, or write a nice review. I would so appreciate it. I'm astrologer, coach, and intuitive Celeste Brooks, and I'll be back next week.